So I'm having a chat with a couple of members of the Throwaway Scene. How are you guys?
Yeah,
Not so
man.
bad
Doing well.
yourself.
Good, good. So, big news is that we've been playing the latest single of yours called Who Else Is in the Room. Tell us a little bit about the track, first of all.
You go, Ollie, or me?
You can take the first one if you want.
Yeah, cool. So the track itself, is kind of a part of a bigger concept, which is the whole upcoming EP, which I'm sure we'll get to. But it's the second stage of a kind of story that we're trying to put across around a psychiatrist's model of grief. So this stage is around anger. So there's quite a lot of you can tell by the pace of the song, the kind of aggression throughout the song. We kind of tried to encompass that emotion in the best way we can. Yeah, it's basically more of a feisty track, I guess. It's probably the feistiest on the EP. So yeah, that's the general gist.
Yeah, good. And that is coming off your debut EP, as you've already told us, on Death and Dying, coming out in January. What can people expect to hear when they get a chance to take a listen?
I mean, there's you kind of just get to hear like the I guess every soundscape that we grew up listening to in an EP. I guess it's a lot of big emo choruses, a lot of fast paced, sort of erratic, quick spoken word, a lot of theatrics. Just kind of real sort of like going back to them sort of earlier sort of emo years that like bands we used to love and grew up on, and just kind of trying to captivate a lot of that. I guess as well, like with the last track, we're kind of moving into more of like stuff we'd listen to nowadays as well. We're more of like a kind of sort of lo-fi down tempo kind of feel towards the end. But I guess in general it's kind of just an amalgamation of like all the things we've been into for our whole music lives, I guess.
And what was it that made you decide on this style of music to create when there's so many genres out there? And I'm sure you've listened to many other genres as well. What made this genre the sort of music you wanted to create, and for this EP as well?
um I think for me personally, I think it's been kind of a natural sort of gravitation. Like when I started making music, I sort of started just doing like pop punk stuff when I played guitar, and then I moved into like, I don't know, everyone went through like a real heavy phase where I just got into like, deathcore and all this kind of stuff. But then it would always be like, I don't know, like some of the older emo bands, it was kind of not cool to like them in a way. So then it would kind of be like my sort of like secret like side thing where I'd listen to these bands. But then eventually it's just become what I'm naturally into. I mean, that's kind of my spin anyway.
I'm going to say we kind of never really sat down and said we will do this. We just had an idea of what we wanted to do, like generally, I guess, and conceptually we thought, well, we'll go down this route instead of how we've done it before in previous projects.
Yeah.
And then like Sam said, it's my approach has always been kind of, this is the kind of thing that I'd want to sit down and listen to. So if I can then put that into 5 tracks and create a narrative and a story and just something more than just 5 songs, if you know what I mean, then that's, yeah, if I can do that, then I think I've done what I wanted to do for a long time.
Yeah, I'm sure. And going forward then, do you know how you want to progress your music on, or are you simply gonna see where it takes you when you sit down to write some more music?
I mean,
It's not,
we've already got a lot of stuff in the works already for the
yeah,
next thing, but yeah.
things are moving quite nicely to say we've not actually put the current body of work out yet. So that's, yeah, it's cool to sort of have eyes on where we're going already. It's quite exciting, which sort of distracts me sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah, I think another thing as well is like everything we've done so far, we've named it a journal. So like every like series of tracks that we sort of make a collection of, we kind of, that then becomes its own like thing. And then when we move to the next collection of things, we can kind of even either do like a concept piece, or we might just do, some sounds that we enjoy at the time. But like it's been quite nice being able to kind of like write a whole narrative around one thing and just sort of almost like put it in a box. And like that was that kind of era of the Throwaway Scene, if you know what I mean. So we could then move on to the next thing.
Yeah, most definitely. People will want to see you playing these tracks live. You've got a date in Sheffield booked for the end of February. What's the plan for next year and doing some shows?
Yeah, we've got a few other things that we haven't announced yet. A few other shows and bits and pieces. A few good supports coming up as well, which should be really good. We'd like to try and get back to some of the festivals. We played a few in our first year as a band, and we're keen to come back to them. And then we're probably too soon to go for like a headline run, but we're definitely looking at doing like a one-off headline show around the EP for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the writing side of things. So for you guys, how do tracks normally start off?
Go, Ollie.
It might just be something like I've just sat and noodled and found something that sounded good, or that I've thought sounded good. And then it's a case of trying to throw a melody on it as quick as I can, just to give it more, to give the rest of the guys more to look at, I guess, to sort of say this is where I'm trying to go with this idea. Then it'll kind of just get passed around and everyone will just put their bit in, and everyone's got their own jobs that everyone pulls their own weight, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was going to just say as well that the way I kind of like to write is quite vocal centric as well. Like there's been a lot of times previously when we've been writing for things where you'll just hear a guitar track or a guitar and drums, and it's just really hard to kind of understand what that vibe is going to be. For me, I have to kind of hear like what are the vocals doing on top of that, especially for our style of music, to really understand if it's going to be something worth pursuing or just something to stick at the bottom of the pile. But yeah. Yeah, I guess it's quite handy, Ollie, because obviously you fundamentally play guitar as well. So often you can kind of play guitar and write some vocal melody kind of together, and it can come as like kind of a package, which is a bit easier to interpret as well, for sure.
Yeah, and with the lyrics side of things, how easy is it to add lyrics to the melody and the instrumentation that's already been created?
Good question. It kind of depends what stage it's at, I guess. So like if I'm just demoing something, a phrase will just kind of come to me and I can build it around that. And it might be a case of them backtracking and going, well, what the fuck does that mean? Like where is this contextually placing it in itself and kind of in the bigger picture of the EP sort of thing. So it was either kind of diagnosing what I'd already written, or I did a lot of research into the 5 stages of grief and kind of sat and went through what a therapist or a psychiatrist would say in certain situations and kind of tailored bits to sort of better suit my narrative sort of thing. So I've genuinely really enjoyed putting all this together, and felt quite proud because when we released Who Else, one of the comments I got on there was my psychology degree approves of this. I'm like, well, that's countless hours of just trawling Google and different sources just to put together something for fucking 3.5 minutes. You know what I mean? It was, yeah, I felt quite just that one moment was enough to warrant doing it again on the next thing. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you.
You too, mate.
Likewise, man.